Stream's
Yeah.
live. It's live. Oh boy.
Excellent.
Be nice if I had the chat computer up. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Always good timing for that.
To knock everything off my computer while we're literally on the stream, that'd be good too.
Why is the music not playing?
Details.
Oh, it is playing. The music is playing. Okay. I always love discovering when things don't work, right? My favorite part of the day.
Part of being live.
It is. What's the matter?
I'm having some liquid Schwartz.
Liquid Schwartz!
Like my mug.
I don't see it yet, but we're gonna have to wait.
Yep. I'll show everybody in a minute.
Alright. Going live. 10 seconds.
Going live. Going live.
5, 4, 3, 2. Oh, and here he is. We're here. Oh God, that's
Hello.
That's hard. This is what happens when you connect your stuff late and stuff doesn't go according to plan. And yeah, are you doing the intro or am I?
You do it. You do it. I'll show the mug though, right? This
Huh.
Corey brought to you by Liquid Schwartz.
Liquid Schwartz today.
Because,
Liquid Schwartz is necessary on
kind of
occasion.
a long night, but there you go.
May the Schwartz be with you. Of course.
And with you.
And with you. With all the viewers out there, may the Schwartz be with you. I love when I'm setting stuff up. Hey, welcome to the show. It is January 14th. We are here for Not Your Average Show. I'm your host, Corey, with the co-host. I'm your host,
yeah,
Mike.
He's Mike. I'll be Corey today.
Corey will be over
I could
there.
be Mike today. One of those.
Yeah. It's been a total rush day, so that's why we're a little late. Just getting that out there.
It's all good.
It's my excuse. And we got a whole bunch for you today. We got stuff on, like we talked about yesterday, air taxis. We're going to be looking at that and some air taxi ports? Vertiports. And one is coming straight here to Orlando. Yay!
Orlando!
Yeah, so that's cool. We're also going to talk about Fisker back in the car game. We're looking at Ubisoft taking over the Star Wars franchise for an open world games. That's going to be kind of exciting news. And I think the other one is a roll-up TV. And Cadillac is back in action with vaporware eVTOLs, which is...
Vaporware. Nice choosing of words there.
It is okay. When we look at it, it's going to look like it came straight from the video game, and it doesn't even really exist yet. So...
yeah, we'll get to it.
We'll get there. So with that said, hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing? How's everything going okay?
Well, I guess Anakin Skywalker took a trip above the Origin. The new Shepard, I guess, was launched. A successful, I think they went to 345,000 feet, which is good for them. That was their highest apogee, I think, to date. And
like a successful test,
and the rocket landed within a few. Now it was kind of funny. I was watching the live stream, and they said, "Oh, it kind of did that last minute, like, hey, over here," and they're like, "Oh, look, it landed right in the middle of the pad." And I'm like, "No, it didn't."
No, it didn't. The angle that they had, I know I don't have a video of this, but the angle that they had, if you guys saw that Blue Origin launch, they launched their new Shepard rocket. It was success. Right? They went up to about, as you said, 340,000 feet, came back down, landed it upright.
Yep.
But as Mike was saying there, the angle reminds me of a SpaceX rocket launch or rocket landing.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, they got this big pad. It's all painted really nice
with the feather.
And the SpaceX right in the middle.
Yeah.
Even out in the ship, it's like bam right in the middle. And then Blue Origin, it looked like it was fine. And then it kind of skittled over to the left a little, and then just landed there. I mean,
it was an oddball, but it was interesting. It was fun.
Space is difficult. We won't pretend space landing rockets is difficult or is easy, but there you go.
Which is funny though, because it just seems to me when I'm watching the new Shepard launches, their escape velocity, like the force that they leave the pad, seems to be much more aggressive. Like it just seems to be like a bottle rocket more than the traditional rockets that I'm used to seeing. So I'm always kind of startled in that respect, I guess.
Yeah, I think their BE-7 rocket motor they're using on those, I guess it's an engine, not a motor technically, but I think it puts out less thrust than the ones that the Raptors that SpaceX is using currently. I mean, part of it too, it must be power to weight ratio, right? Because the payload SpaceX is launching actual payload satellites, whether it's Starlink or other satellites that or for other companies. I just feel like the mass, the mass leaving the pad, total mass liftoff must be more on a SpaceX. But maybe as you said, the acceleration amount off the pad is by design. Maybe Blue Origin, that's what they do.
It could be, because I always thought you had to leave a little less ferocity if you had humans on board, because you obviously don't want to scramble the occupants before they make it to space, right? And so we all see the Saturn footage, and obviously the shuttle footage when it used to launch. It used to do a little twang, and then it very gracefully left the actual launch facility. And it seems like the New Shepard might have them beat on maybe pulling maybe a G or two more, trying to use that to their effective ability there. But hey, who knows? I can't do space. I'd like to go into space. If you guys make us successful enough, we'll go to space. How's that?
I'd love to go to space.
I'd love to go to space. I think that'd be cool.
That's actually other news, not what we have on plate today for this right now. But there's supposed to be a decent amount of commercial space launches that you could take a ride on this year. Virgin Galactic's got one going on
with some scratch. I would imagine you're going to need some major cash for that, deep pockets.
Yes. I just saw it in another news article, maybe I think yesterday. It looks like, you're looking at like $250,000 and up at least for just minutes of weightless.
Minutes. You get minutes.
Minutes. Let's be clear, like 4 or 5 minutes of actual weightlessness.
That's 4 or 5 minutes of extra weightlessness than I ever had down on here. But if we're going to microtransaction the world like EA did out of Star Wars,
we'll get there.
We'll get there. There's definitely that.
That's on the show roster. Yeah.
Yeah. The team mascot is knocking at the door, but I can't let him in right now. So anyhow, Roscoe's sitting there. He's like, I can hear him sniffing in the door.
Oh yeah,
fun times. All right, so you want to take it away? What topic are we going with first, sir? Tell me. You tell me.
Let's go with we mentioned we'll talk about Lilium, right? Let's go with the Lilium article first.
All right. So that's
Lilium. So okay. So talking about Lilium. So if you don't know already, Lilium is a company out of Germany, and they have some relatively young designers, a new team there. And they've designed these kind of a little bit different designed eVTOL or VTOL. So it's an electrically powered vertical takeoff and landing the vehicle they're making.
Right.
And they're making them with the intent to.
Right.
A location. It's set to go into Lake Nona, which is quite close to Orlando, Florida.
Right.
And so that's pretty cool. It's the first vertiport they have set up for or to go into the US with.
Right.
And they're looking at other places as well. It's pretty cool. And part of what attracts me to this company as opposed to other or VTOLs is the claimed performance specifications.
But you said claimed in a kind of
so exactly
way.
So while it has preliminary approval with EASA, which is the if you want to think of the FAA but for Europe,
yes, which we were both working for at some point. Yep.
That's a whole nother thing. But yeah, they haven't released video of showing these maximum performance specifications. And so just a quick look at it, right? What do they say? Well, they said with their setup now, it should go about 186 miles, 300 kilometers on a single charge, because remember, it's electric.
Right.
A top speed, supposed again, of 185 miles per hour, 298 knots per hour.
Right. Nope.
range.
My question would be capacity,
And
though, right? Like, so how many people are they going to carry on this thing?
I think they're looking at like 5 seats inside. One thing too that I've as I've been kind of following this for a while now is they seem to be saying that initially they'll have pilots on board
Mhm.
to help takeoffs and landings, and then in flight it'll be automated. But then Lilium has always claimed that the taxi service would be fully automated at some point. Now, part of this, if you're a little bit into how knowing about how aviation works and the rules of the road and the air, is the FAA is going to have some say in like how these things operate
Oh, yeah.
because technically it's an airport, but it's not at an airport. Like it's not going to have a control tower and stuff, right? So there's things to be worked out and whatnot.
Of course.
So as we talk on our show about emerging technologies with say Teslas and other cars that are going to be automated driving, and it's a evolving technology.
Automation in
You could
general.
automation in general, yeah, with AI and everything else. This is exciting for me, but I think there's still obviously a lot of kinks to work out. The other thing I'll mention before I kind of post it over to you to see what you think of this whole thing is another thing I just saw just this morning, and that is that Lilium supposedly will be on an IPO soon sometime,
IPO.
which is kind of cool because this company seems to be one of the ones that has a decent amount of publicity and a decent amount of. And again, I know some people will say, "Well, this sounds great, right? But does it even have a working prototype?" Yes, actually, they have 2. Well, they had 2. One caught on fire, but stuff happens. But the other one's already flown.
All right, so
And
wait.
there's videos you can find videos of it flying over there in Europe.
All right, so slower
cool.
roll here a little bit because you're going to tell me that the advent of the flying cars here, right? That's cool. I get that. To a degree, because this was the Jetsons future that everybody's been promised for the last going on 70 years. That people have been sold on this utopia of the fact that you no longer have to deal with traffic. You can just jump on this little air pad of yours and up you go. And we're finding out that
Sure.
that's always going to be regulated in some way, shape, or form, right?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Of course. Well, the concept sounds great. And I see a lot of companies jumping into this arena of, look, we're going to have this VTOL transport that's going to change the way you and I all look at the world. Well, I have the bad news side of that is, look, I guess it was almost 15, 20 years ago. Everyone thought that the new revolution in aviation was going to be the smaller, more marketable jet. They thought that was going to change the way that people traveled through air. And guess what? It really didn't materialize for the ultra wealthy. It did because I'd say the Flux jet space industry picked up and grew immensely. And however, I've been seeing a lot of these air taxis pop up for the last 7 to 10 years with little or no fruition of something making that full jump into mass commercialism. It just hasn't arrived yet. And I'm when you were talking, I'm going, is this like another dot bomb? Like, are we on the verge of a bunch of these companies wanting to be these?
A dot-com bubble.
Yeah, like these super IPOs with these great vertical technologies with maybe not the entire ability to push them across the finish line to a full fruition project. And mostly what we're going to see is bloatware. And the reason why I say that is because obviously Cadillac jumped in to a certain degree with the introduction of theirs, right?
Yeah, we'll get to that in just a moment. But yeah, exactly. And I totally get what you're saying. And I'm not gonna be the visionary that's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna spend all my money on IPO whenever it comes out. I'm totally on board because it's not a pipe dream, blah blah. It's like many things I've been keeping track of, future technologies, and it all seems really cool. And even to some degree, a lot of the technologies might already be here, but their feasibility to be enabled, integrated into a scale that actually can be distributed to the world is not quite there.
Because like our DJI drones, they work perfectly well at scale for what they're doing as a small mission, as taking something up in the air to take a 4K photo. Perfect, right? Strap a human to that becomes a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, notwithstanding just a living person, but just mass in general. Physics doesn't always play kind to scaling things up or down, for that matter. So,
and what goes up must come down.
Something about gravity, something about flying, landing. Yeah, that's how it kind of goes up and go down. Yeah,
goes up and down. So look, and now I'm gonna kick it into the Cadillac one because we might as well. Because on that same note, right? And I guess I can introduce this one. When you're taking a look at a subject like these vertiports are going to be popping up, and all types of different vertical type vehicles. Cadillac, which we mentioned yesterday, introducing their new Blackwing series to take some of that component of that they lost in the V series and bring it back. Well, Cadillac also has their eVTOL. And while it's got a V in the name, it's a little different in the fact that this stuff hasn't materialized. And when I say this,
Yeah.
it's to the point that if I look at the pictures and what they're saying is their new personal air taxi, this is pretty much a generated screen cap where it's all CGI. And I don't see anything there that says that General Motors is actually on the verge of producing something in the eVTOL category. Well, I would be excited if they could. Again, all the pictures and all the animations that they show is this personal one-seat aircraft that's basically going to take off, land like a quadcopter, and
Yeah. Is it just one seat, or I thought I can't tell. Maybe it's just one seat.
right now I really couldn't tell if it was one or multiple seats. It looks like it's one from the advertisement here. I'm going to call this
one picture that has a seat in it.
That's it. I'm not gonna give them a lot of hype on it yet because, and this is where I go back into that. Is this going to be one of those bubbles where everybody just jumps in because it looks like the greatest thing since sliced bread, and yet when you look at the actual imagery and everything else, I'm like, whoa, we got a long way to go before we can get to this.
When do we want to go green? Because that's like the thing to say.
Look at us emerging. We're so emerging.
Yeah, so
that's pretty awesome. And the other thing, we did miss a comment from one of our viewers. Christina Richards did have a comment and wanted to know what the cost of going to space was. But I guess we can cover that at the end of the show. We'll take a look at that because I think those prices vary.
Yeah. You want to cover it later?
Yeah, we'll cover it later at the end. We'll take a look at it in the end.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, the bloatware conversation. Now look, the fanciful part for us is that we both have vertical rating. Well, we have rotorcraft ratings with the FAA. We've both flown helicopters, right? So and the quadcopters enter a really interesting dynamic where they're not limited by some of the things that our other rotorcraft are limited by, especially helicopters. They don't suffer by some of the things that the tail rotor loss or the torque component because it's distributed through 4 main blade systems, and you really have much more, I would say, honestly, precise control. In all honesty, and the fact that it could be powered electrically without having to deal with a massive transmission. Each motor can carry its own load, its own weight, and its own variable speed without using a transmission is also a massive bonus. Right, things that the general public may or may not know, that the componentry that goes into a helicopter is complex. There's lots of transmissions. There's lots of moving and vectoring parts that have to do things to make these things command themselves in a direction. Whereas with one of these type craft, the 4-bladed strokes of the 4 motor pods pretty much take a lot of the complexity out of that design, which is great. However, the production on a scale, which Corey mentioned earlier, that's a massive undertaking to get that to the point where you're going to throw a human being on it. It's big. That's not something where you could.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of surprised at GM to take a stab at this with just renders. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe it's partly because CES is a little bit remote, right? Not everybody needs to have a physical mock-up. I mean, you and I have been to trade shows for helicopters and aircraft before, and things that people announce, like if you remember the Bell, it was the 505 Relentless, or not the 505, but the Relentless.
The Relentless was one,
the big one offshore. Anyway, they have big mock-ups, and yeah, I agree that GM's kind of got these renders that aren't even difficult to see the renders.
Right, they're basic renders. Well, look,
they're like renders, but I mean, yeah. So
Bell showed up at CES in 2018 with what their Nexus was, just basically the cabin.
Yes,
they never showed up with a propulsion unit. They just showed up with a cabin. There was no,
but they're still working on it.
They're still working on it now. They've since produced an actual physical version of the Nexus. It hasn't flown yet, and Airbus has done the similar thing with their city bus. And it seems like Airbus might be a little bit further along the road as to actually making this part of the future, which is interesting in of itself. Which kind of makes you think GM being bigger than both of those companies combined, why they'd have to just show up with renders.
Yeah.
Disappointment.
Yeah, I mean, for what it's worth, it does say in this article that, GM's already has some partnerships with automakers. Let's see, FCA partnership with Archer to actually build the taxis. They're talking about some battery technology in here as well. So, I mean, while it seems like an
Four, 400, yeah, and up to 56 miles an hour. Garbage. Come on, dude. 50. An old Schweitzer can beat that.
Hour at that weight, probably for one person.
Yeah, no.
What I mean, 50 miles, and then you need to charge. I don't know.
I'd
It's
rather get in
not
my
gonna be
car.
that far.
I would rather get in my car.
Um,
If you were maybe
and
New
that's
York City, that
yeah.
might work.
That's the thing. That's the thing, I guess, is a bit of application, right? Because when, like we talked about some of the other eVTOLs, they're talking about having vertiports, as kind of like waypoints along a route. So if you wanted to go from like one end, like from one of the southeast of the U.S. to maybe the middle of the U.S., you could take, or maybe not quite that far because it's pretty far, but like a network. And then just in the way you could maybe take an Uber, and an Uber would only take you so far.
Yeah, but look,
You could
are you
you could get in one of these and Uber to that, and then that one would Uber to the next place, and I mean, but I mean,
is it feasible? Look, I can understand a place
is
like
that
New York
something
City,
people wanna do?
right? I can understand New
I
York
don't
City.
know.
I can understand a place like Chicago. I could understand LA,
Yeah,
where a 50-mile
yeah,
hop means the difference between not being in traffic and being in traffic for hours, right? That makes total
mhm,
sense to me. However, when you go outside the bigger branches of those developed areas, the application purpose, the purposeful application, I would say, drops immensely at a 50-mile hop at a 1 hour bounce. Because then, if you wanted to say take one from the Space Coast all the way over to say Tampa, you're looking at 4 hops to get there. Literally 186 miles. You're
and something like this though, and that was the thing with the Lilium, which is again, well, not to get to switch back to the topic, but if they can, if eVTOL technology can prove it can go, let's say, near 200 miles at a decent speed and carry, some stuff, not just one person and bag,
right. Mm,
then maybe it has a place as a taxi, a quote taxi service. Not that it's going to replace,
mm.
let's say the lower 40 seat jets, because it can't,
Yeah,
distance wise, efficiency, blah blah. But I mean, I think for me, it's something to just keep a lookout and just see.
I would call it more like
If nothing else, advancements in like battery technology, which have applications elsewhere,
right, right,
not
right.
just VTOL.
Well,
So
even better, I would call GM's attempt more like the electric air pogo stick. You can just bounce yourself across the country. Hey,
and not have a fun time
no,
doing
I
it,
wouldn't. I
probably.
wouldn't enjoy that at all. But I'm just saying that's my take on it. Anyhow,
Yeah.
where shall we go from there? I will leave it to
I can
you.
talk about this TV actually, and then we can go somewhere
All
else.
right, let's go to the TV. Take it away, Mr. TV man. Uh-oh.
The
La
television.
television, yes, sir.
So basically, yeah, at CES, LG has kind of unveiled the next iteration of their rollable screen TV. And basically, this one here, it's basically they're called their LG Signature OLED R
Mm,
rollable screen TV. And the cool part, sure, of course, it's super expensive. They had a version of this at a previous CES, and it was impressive. And they even before that showed rollable, flexible screens, OLED screens before, and it led us to have some imagination. What could you really do with this stuff? Um, this one here it looks like a TV that's if you got it on your screen, you could bring it
I
up and
do.
maybe show the video while I'm chatting about it. But it's
Right, right, right.
a normal TV. And so with that kind of thing, that kind of answer, okay, I'm thinking to myself, am I going to buy the TV? That'd be great. Probably not. But what other things now can we do with rollable OLED screens? You could do tons of stuff.
You could.
And that's kind of why I want to talk about it. I mean,
All
you
right,
could
look.
put them on clothing. You could put them around. I mean, it's just crazy.
You're way more excited about it than me. Just saying. You know why? I don't see a practical application.
It's a TV, sure.
Right.
But it's like, where else could you do with this stuff? And that's kind of why I think it's cool.
Okay, so here my thing would be, look, this would be great on a boat, right? Because boats, if you have a nice 40-foot boat and you want to put a TV on a boat, right, and you have no place to put it behind a couch and you have to creatively store this thing, well, now you just have a box that's basically the size of a poster tube, and you plop it on there. When you want it up or comes down. Same thing if you want to mount it in a spare room, right? But $87,000, you really have to want to have that television.
I guess that's my point, though, is this product, on the face of it, doesn't do it for me.
No,
but
not
it's
at
the
all,
technology driving it that's cool.
So how many people would have to buy this television to eventually make the adaptive price for those that want to enter the market for a roll-up TV? How many would actually buy it to the point where the TV became purchasable at a point where it was practical for the people that could use it for practical purposes?
I think the answer is not a direct answer to that question. It's more along the lines that LG will either sell the technology or put them in other products.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't think they foresee selling tens of thousands of $87,000 TVs because
hey,
I don't think that's a thing.
But if they want to produce it, I mean, it looks like a nice unit. I mean, all the video that's on it, it looks pretty. I mean, and for 65-inch, if it's got the specs and it's got the ability to refresh at proper rates, I don't see why there'd be any reason, because it looks like it's got the guts, right? But it's who's going to buy it first for $87K, right? So yeah, they'll sell the technology.
Well, there's somebody out there that's going to buy it because they've got other TVs that are like 100-inch OLEDs that are whole wallpaper and.
Oh, how do you like my new box? It's not a box, it's a TV. Oh,
because you're super, you got all the cash. And, don't get me wrong. If you're out there watching this and you have the cash to buy it and you're going to buy it, that's super cool. Let us know. Send us a comment. Send us some pictures.
That'd be nice.
Because I'm not saying this isn't a cool product. I'm just saying I'm a little more excited for the technology behind it.
I see the applications, right? I see the applications because obviously flexible screens, foldable devices, that's where the new genre of technology is going. If you look at what LG has produced this year, you look at Motorola coming back with the Razr. So obviously this type of screen, which has been tried and true to a degree in the Fold, and actually Microsoft Surface has one out this year. People really want this foldable technology, and they want some sort of adaptive screen that can roll up into places. I get that, right? I could totally see this being a waste of time for the person that says, it would be really great. Let's wrap all the pillars on our house in televisions so we could change the color of them at all times. It's like
this is straight cyberpunk here, wrapping palm trees and OLED because you can.
Like,
sure, if that's the future, then again, I'm not sure about that, but I mean, off the cuff, I'm just thinking maybe you had a device that was literally the size of your phone. You pull it out. And it unfolds into a tablet that's touchscreen. That's freaking cool.
That's cool. Now that I can understand.
And it literally has the same, display ability that your let's say Retina display would have on an iPad.
Right.
Cool. I mean, awesome.
See, now I look at it something like this, though. The old Apple keyboards, right? So you got one of these. And it's got that nice little battery roll in
you could
there.
roll the screen out of that thing.
So that would be kind of cool if I actually could this could be my new laptop and I just go and like a vertical blind. That would be kind of interesting to me. But to see those types of applications again right now, it looks like the screen would be 600 times the price of a computer. Not really a bargain.
And I think that's the thing with technology. We've been talking about them is early adopters never usually win, and almost always spend more than you want to.
I'm a winner, and I buy a lot of technology earlier. So don't.
I didn't say I'm not an early adopter. I just said it's not the most cost-effective thing.
You don't always win.
Depends what winning is.
Hey, winning is
how you define winning.
He who dies with the most toys wins. That's been my motto. So I
have heard that before.
Toys do make the world go round in some cases, especially if you have a 2-year-old in the house, because I know he lives and loves toys. Right? Wouldn't it be? And I don't think my perspective from the time that I've been 2 years old has changed very much, because I still love and live by toys. It's just that the toys got more expensive. I got older, and I refuse to accept the fact that I'm going to get older. Ta-da!
It looked like they're not, Squeezy the duck in the tub anymore.
Yeah,
they're
of course.
TVs and cars and stuff. Yeah.
Of course. And so, hey guys, remember, if you're out there watching in on YouTube land, remember, like, subscribe, follow. We appreciate it. We live off the crumbs of others, and we would appreciate any help and support to get the channel rolling and keep us in the conversation, because again, this is what we like to do. And eventually, if you guys support us enough, we can be bringing a lot of this technology to you. And we'll eventually have, I guess, the patron page. We do have Discord, which is going to something we're going to probably talk about how we introduce that next week.
We need to post that in the video description. We'll take care of that later.
Yeah, and I think we actually might do a feature on Discord and how we use it and how that tool is going to be useful towards the people that are going to be introduced to the show, because many of our users might know how to use it and some might not. So it's another tool. With that said, what do you say I take us over to a little bit of Lucasfilm stuff? How's that sound?
Oh, please do. Please do.
Okay, so I got to preface this. I'm going to go into a little beef. And the beef is that if you're a fan of the Star Wars universe, like I've been, and Corey and I have been for a very, very long time, I got a lightsaber mounted up on the wall. You can see it later. I got a Han Solo figurine. I got a ton.
I got one here too.
Yeah, he's got one. We enjoy that type of stuff. However, EA taking over the franchise of Battlefront spelled some bad news about 2 years ago, when there was massive outrage over the fact that their new game had become pretty much a microtransaction in and of itself, which the Star Wars community as a whole said, we're not into this. And I'm kind of thinking that probably led to what we saw as an announcement from the fact that it looks like, and I say looks like, that Lucasfilm is now going to be in a new partnership with Ubisoft. And Ubisoft has been known for their franchise around Watch Dogs, Assassin's Creed, The Division, and some other, massive titles out there in what's called the open platform market, including the Far Cry series. So as we explore this as a conversation, it looks like this is the transition of this title going full-blown Ubisoft. And it looks like they hope to have something in development within the next 2 years, which could be pretty amazing. And they're still looking at even more projects, including something that might include the franchise from, Indiana Jones, of all things. Which sounds super, super cool. So I don't know about anybody else, but Battlefront was actually one of my favorite games when we were playing it just a few years ago. But unfortunately, I lost interest when I realized that I could quickly get my ass into a battle and find myself beat by someone that just pretty much microtransacted themselves to God in the universe. Especially when you've already got Yoda and Darth Vader chasing your ass. It's no fun to get kicked by some 15-year-old.
Yeah, those little cards, and remember, there's different versions. If you guys have played that game, there's different versions of the equipment, and
it got so silly towards the end. It just almost wasn't even fun to get back in the universe, and it really killed the replay factor. It fell off my playlist pretty fast. So, hey, man, we're looking at possibly Ubisoft doing a Division-style game. That would be freaking amazing to bring that to the Star Wars series. Although one other thing, they do say it's going to focus mostly on new characters. What's your feelings on it?
Yeah, I think I may have said before too that the fact that we could maybe have a Knights of the Old Republic type game, maybe not a remake of that game, right? But a type of game like that,
right?
That's truly open world, not based around microtransactions, really getting back to having Lucasfilm kind of be more in charge and really having a bit more direction. And I think I'm just super excited. I mean, it's cool to see. I mean, Lucasfilm. I just remember the old days when Lucasfilm games and you're back there playing like X-Wing and like TIE Fighter, and it's like they made some cool games that were fully based in the Star Wars universe, and were really about playing the game and the story, not about obviously as much multiplayer or as these microtransactions. It's really about the game and bringing the player into the universe. And
I'm kind of shocked, considering that it seemed like EA had hit some pretty decent success with Squadrons that had just launched prior to the holiday season in 2020. And I picked up Squadrons. It's a great simulation game in the essence of a 5-on-5 air battle, space battle type game, including your favorites like the X-Wing, the Y-Wing, the TIE Fighter series, and so on and so forth, which I thought was fantastic. Unfortunately, I didn't get enough time to really put enough emphasis into playing it other than VR, which I played a lot in VR. But VR in itself, it has its inherent challenges when you're not playing others in VR, and it's actually got chat issues and so on and so forth. But it's still a good game, and I'm surprised with that. I'm kind of thinking maybe EA might still take the focus of staying in maybe the simulation range, and they're going to pull back, and the next kind of Battlefront might be with some of the newer characters, but in the Division style format, which might be really different.
Yeah. Did you ever talk about the Snowdrop engine for?
I didn't talk about Snowdrop, but you're more than welcome to bring it up. Nope, bring it on up.
No, yeah. I mean, I don't know where you saw that, but Mike was just telling me earlier before we started the stream that supposedly they're going to be using the Snowdrop engine, game engine, to possibly work on this game. And so, if you guys have played the Division series, the game, The Division, I mean, of course, every game has its problems. Division had some problems with people thinking that a lot of the bosses were just bullet sponges. You know, people take so long to kill these people. But the game itself, exploring the game, exploring the city, the environment, was really cool. And if you can imagine redoing the Division with that engine as a Star Wars universe, I mean, it's all about making it bring the player into that universe, and I think there's great possibility there. So
of course, and so when I think about the biggest knock I had against the Division was it was more fun to run individual missions outside that zone that they created in the interior, because that multiplayer zone, the dark zone in and of itself, became a very dangerous place because as soon as you entered it, it meant almost instant death. And
it's PvP,
yeah,
like in a nutshell,
of course,
in that game.
So, but what I do kind of get excited about for a Star Wars game that actually had the existing universe outside of what would be a participation in a battle sequence, right? So figure Battlefront surrounded by its own open world universe where you're basically almost flying around GTA 5 style, right? And maybe almost because they've seen what happened with Cyberpunk 2077, it didn't have exactly quite the punch in the launch they want. Maybe they saw that this opened up the door towards another franchise market in that same arena of the open world / Division-esque game for Star Wars. So excited to see what's going to come of that. And
yeah, totally.
Now the only thing is we have to do, like every good title, wait.
Yeah, and hope that they are completely done with microtransactions.
That would be cool. That would be fantastic.
Or at least the pay to win aspect, right? If it's for me, like if it's customizables only, okay. You know, some people want more hats, some people want different color lightsabers. Fine, cool,
right?
But like you said, if there's any type of advantage to having this, you know, in the game itself, and really PvP mostly, because people want to enjoy the PvE aspect however they want to enjoy it.
Sure.
So I'm not too worried about that. But yeah, PvP stuff, yeah, please no more microtransactions. So
look,
people don't.
It's funny because before Fortnite, I didn't think that there was going to be a lot in the essence of people felt a personalization of character was that big of a deal. And as they just kind of, I guess, blew it almost out of proportion, because Fortnite seems to have made it very, very clear that you could make money off of just selling people that type of stuff. Just like you said, you know, donning a new cape or a hat or this, you know, bam, suddenly this became the hottest thing to have, get, or achieve. So I kind of hope the same thing doesn't happen. But coming from folks that created the Division, which was like, we played a lot of Division extensively. Division 2, not so much, but the Division itself, we probably played that game a full solid 4.5 months and almost nightly.
It was great.
It was a fantastic game.
It was great. And it's one of those games really works great with friends. And it was great. It was good.
It was a good game.
But yeah.
Good game.
Yep. And not in a slight, not a segue, but just a little touch on that. You were talking about Fortnite and we were just talking about Star Wars. I just read something this morning, just as a little tidbit, a funny tidbit. Apparently they put the Mandalorian in there.
Oh yes.
In Star Wars in Fortnite. Did you see that? There was
a
guy. There was a whole bunch of threads where people were bitching that the Mandalorian was sniping them out of the air before they landed, and they were pissed.
That's what.
And I thought that was hilarious.
Guess what? This is the way.
That's right.
That's it.
Right. They didn't even see him. And he's like, dead. Like,
that's what Mandalorians do. What did you expect when the Mandalorian?
He's a freaking bounty hunter.
He is.
Best there is.
He is one of the best bounty hunters. I guess one day we're gonna have to just go into a full-on in-depth discussion on the entire Mandalorian series, because I've enjoyed it so far. No spoilers. I'm only up to I think it's number 3 in episode 2, because I'm taking my time.
You're not done.
No, heck no. Okay. Don't spoil, because I watch one episode per week.
I will not.
I sit down. I go, okay, this is my 1 hour.
Do you know anything about the ending of the series or no?
Don't.
Cool. I'm not saying anything, dude. I'm just asking.
Zip it.
Anything.
Zip.
Yeah.
Zip it. Cool. Not a word. Anyhow. I love how when you bring the mug up, you kind of bring it up in that nice frame and slowly sip.
I got to get it around the microphone because I don't want to bang the microphone. I don't think Stream would like that.
All right. So you're going to take us home now with a return of an electric car maker that was actually pre-Tesla. So if you want to
Yes.
take that one home for
Sure.
us.
Yep. So for this little bit, we're going to talk about an article I found on The Verge. It's about Fisker, and if you guys are unaware, Fisker, it's developed by a guy named Hendrik Fisker, and he tried to mass market a car a while back, and it didn't really work. He actually had to declare bankruptcy, and he got rebought and reformed the company. But they were higher end cars, but they were, as Mike said, electric cars, and they look pretty good actually.
Right. The ocean. I did.
And of course, right off the bat, maybe the biggest news about it, it's by Fisker and it's 35,700 SUV, electric SUV, which is pretty cool. So, those things right away are like, bing, people are interested in that, possibly because the name, but also the price is a bit more attainable for people, other people. He's claiming this thing goes 250 to 300 miles. It does have solar roof panels I'm sure, to offset the draw if leaving it out throughout the day. It's pretty new as far as like what else you can see about it. There's some graphics. I know you had them on stream a second ago. It looks cool to me. It's got a little bit of that concept car design. So as we've seen with other cars, other concepts, right? It'll probably change a bit before if he gets to sell them. But one thing that is maybe a bit more interesting too is he drove it. He himself was there at CES and he had a working model. So it's right there at the beginning of the article. So it's a real thing.
It is a real thing.
So that's pretty cool. It says right now it's powered by an 80 kilowatt hour battery pack. So it's
right.
powered vehicle. It's fairly quick. He's claiming a 2.9 second acceleration to 60 miles per hour.
So for $37,000, or is that an upgrade version?
That's a performance version.
That's a performance version. So I love how they still do this, and it's always like the GT version versus the performance version.
You gotta read.
You gotta pay. Yeah. So the $37,000 pretty much still just a stripped version of an EV car. It's a gorgeous looking vehicle. I don't think as far as the pictures that I'm seeing of it, and actually how it actually looks, it reminds me of a little bit between somewhere of a Range Rover Discovery and it's got. Yeah, I got it back up. I mean, it looks like a Range Rover Discovery for the most part. It's got a little bit more of that high rise in the back, which kind of gets into that Nissan vibe of almost, kind of thing. Yeah, I mean, it's cool looking. It's, although to a degree, and I'm going to say this because Kia has been doing such great things with their design of their vehicles lately, and so many other manufacturers have really stepped outside the box. It almost looks a little too pedestrian.
And little that Range Rover, as you said before, I could see both.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's weird.
And I don't hate it though. I don't not like it because of that.
Well, I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah. So. I mean, having any car look like a different car that you already know, if you're into cars, if you're a car guy, car girl, car person, you will have an initial reaction of how you liked or didn't like that car. So, I mean, yeah, but I don't, yeah.
If you like cars.
Cool. I'd be interested to see one in person because I never got the opportunity to drive a Fisker in the past. The previous, like the Karma, or even, I saw one at shows.
Right,
Right, but I never had the opportunity to actually drive it. And now, I think we said before on stream, I do have a Tesla, so I've driven one, and then, of course, now I own one. So yeah, having it to be able to compare it to somebody who's making an electric vehicle, but also have already made electric cars in the past, like Fisker, it would be interesting to see.
I guess for me, when I look at it, I kind of get this vision of it right now, where unless he's a very short individual driving it, it looks like it's a little bit bigger than I would imagine, because his headroom seems to be quite a lot in that picture. So I wonder what the actual dimensions are, because sometimes it's really cool to see a picture of something and then you see it in real life, you go, that's not really the size that I thought it was going to be, you know? Like
Yeah, of course. I mean, yeah, I don't know. The angle they took the picture, I'm looking at one picture here too. The angle is hard to tell really how tall it is or how big the tires are to give you some perspective. So yeah, I don't know.
Cool. Well,
But,
hey, I wish him luck.
Ooh.
The models of his old, I think it was the Fisker 8, or no, they came back as a Fisker 8. Somebody else bought them from GM and then put I think it was an 8-cylinder engine in there, because I think his was a first that was like a 4-cylinder hybrid, where the engine was only used to charge the batteries, but it was really weird because where the engine was mounted, it actually exhibited a lot of heat came out right underneath the door sills. And if you ran with the windows open and stopped at a stoplight, apparently the cars were very hot, so you really couldn't roll with the windows open. That's what I was told.
Yep.
I never had one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, again, as you said, I also wish him best of luck this time around, because having more players, and even Elon has said it too, right? Having more players in the electric car market is not a bad thing.
No, not at all.
And we know that too. As consumers itself, it's good to have options and competition. So
I like options. So with that said, hey, let's close up this part. Let's remind everybody at home, if you'd like, what you could do to help out the channel, which would be
oh yeah, sure, yeah, of course. If you like what we're talking about, again, we stream and talk about a variety of different subjects: tech stuff, car stuff, racing stuff, space. We'll get into some physics and some sciencey stuff in the future too. So yeah, please like the video. It helps us out a lot. Please, share it with people also helping out a lot. Obviously, subscribing is always appreciated. And we'll get some links to the Discord. You can get involved with us there if you'd like. And when we get some other things set up, other social medias, you can please come on by those too. We'll talk about that stuff when we get all that sorted as well.
Right. So to get back into Christina Richards' question, she basically asked, what was the cost of going to space? And it looks like right here.
Those two, yeah.
Looks like the cost is $250,000.
It looks about, yeah. So Virgin Galactic, I found that's about 250,000 US, 175,000 pounds, obviously depending on exchange.
Right.
And that one is a few minutes of weightlessness, right? You're not going to stay up very long. If you want to go to the other extreme, SpaceX is setting up opportunity to take people to the ISS. It was a problem.
Million, I thought it was, right?
Yeah. So the catch there used to be, well, I think that maybe there still is a rule, but there was a rule that you couldn't launch private citizens from U.S. soil and take them to the space station. And that's how people were doing it, because they were going through the Soyuz in Russia previously. And now that the FAA, or no, not the FAA, it's a rule. I can't remember where I saw that, but the rules changed, and now you can launch private citizens from U.S. soil, and that's why SpaceX is trying it out. And just like you said, it's this one here. I say this article is from May 5th last year, and its tickets are around 55 million.
So, I mean, look,
to go to the ISS for a few days,
that's a lot of money. Number one. Number two,
that's a lot of money.
We didn't launch a lot of U.S. citizens from U.S. soil for almost 8.5 years, 7.5 years.
How long was the shuttle out?
What we actually watched men go back into space. And what was it, like May 27, 2020? Watched it live.
Yeah. So cool. Yeah. Actually, I saw the last space shuttle launch in person, and I also saw the first crewed Dragon capsule launch by SpaceX in person as well.
Right.
So that's pretty cool. But yeah, it was. To be honest, like, it escapes me how many years when the last shuttle launch was. Was it 8 years?
Good question.
That's what Google's around.
Was it 8 years ago? I think so. Here,
STS 135, July 11th, July 2011.
Okay, so there you go.
So, yeah, about 9 years and change.
That sounds.
No, Crew Dragon was last year. Right. Yeah, so yeah.
That sounds right to me.
Yeah. So it's obviously, that's a whole another thing. We're glad that we can launch from American soil again.
So,
but yeah,
wait, which article was that one that you were looking
Richards,
at?
it's
For what year was that? Hold on.
STS 135.
STS 135 was what? Why does that sound wrong to me? I don't know. Hold on a second. Was that literally the last time we?
100. Yeah, STS 135, final mission of the space shuttle program. Atlantis launched the 8th of July, 2011.
Wow. So it was almost 9 years. Holy cow! I thought it was like 7 or 6. Wow.
So Christina, though, if you're still in chat, is that a bit too expensive?
How much? How much is?
Because if you're going, let us know, and you can take a camera. We'll buy a camera for you.
There you go. Even better. You know what? Does it come with beverage service? I just want to know if I have to buy the drink package before or after I get on the rocket, and does that include like?
Something tells me SpaceX will be no, and Virgin Galactic will be yes.
Yeah, I think Virgin Galactic would like that as well.
I think.
And you know, a lot of success after they've had their mishaps with them, because Dick Rutan has done I think a fantastic job of designing their ships. I think that's who was doing it, right?
A tad bit too much, Christina. Yeah, I see that in chat. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you there. But it would be really cool, obviously.
It would be kind of cool.
Going to space would be super cool. But I mean, you know, one can hope. I mean, I'm on the side to hope that over the course of our lifetime and our generation, it'll become more commonplace. And you know, technology advances will benefit not just space travel, but other things on Earth. And yeah, getting to space for private citizens will not be as difficult. That would be great.
Yeah, sorry, it wasn't Dick Rutan. It's Bert Rutan is the one that's designing all their aircraft, which is kind of cool. So with that,
Virgin.
Yeah, all for Virgin. Just a little bit too much for Christina. Okay, well, guess what? It has come to that time to say, have a great weekend, everybody, because we're not going to be on tomorrow. Tomorrow's the day off, but we will be back probably in the live studio audience or live studio show here here on Monday.
Yep.
So that'll be cool. Yep. If you got any submissions for us, any new things you want us to talk about, any new technology, by all means, share it with us. And remember, like, subscribe, and share us all about. And you got anything to say to the kind people at home there, Mr. Corey?
Just the same old stuff. You know, we're getting this channel going. We appreciate everybody hanging out and making suggestions. The like, share, subscribe thing, of course, as always. We appreciate again those hanging out in chat, because that's cool too. And you know, by all means, like we did today, you got questions, just shoot them out. Whether we get to them then or maybe a bit later in the show, it's great. It's perfect. Thank you so much. So,
yep.
And then other than that, have an excellent weekend, everybody.
Everybody have a good one. Take care. We'll see you Monday. Have a good one. Peace out.